Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, welcome to Chantex Multimedia live stream. And as I said before, that today we'll be taking you to PBD, the 16th PBD happening in Delhi, and coming live to you from our studios here as well. Here's the, we're joining in now with the prelude before the main event. I hope you enjoy the prelude as it folds, and we will also like to bring to you the full segment as soon as it comes on as well. So enjoy the 16th PBD.
प्रवासी भारतीयों में देश के विकास के लिए अदम्य इच्छा शक्ति है। वे देश की प्रगति में सहयात्री हैं, को ट्रैवलर हैं। हमारी विकास यात्रा में आप हमारे एक वैल्यूएबल साथी हैं, पार्टनर हैं, स्टेक होल्डर हैं।
Pravasis are, in a manner of speaking, our extended family. They live abroad, but remain deeply connected in heart and soul with us. As with family members, we take great pride in their achievements. And again, as we do with our near and dear, there is always a strong sense of responsibility towards their welfare.
Friends, Namaskar and good evening. This is the first weekly briefing of 2021 and I welcome all of you. Let me begin by wishing all of you a very happy, healthy and prosperous new year. First up, I have a couple of announcements. I'll start with announcing the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas Convention, which is a flagship event of this ministry and provides for an important platform to engage and connect with overseas Indians. And despite the ongoing COVID pandemic, keeping in view the sentiments of our diaspora, the 16th PBD convention is being organized tomorrow, that is the 9th of January. The event will be held in the virtual format. The theme of the 16th Pravasi Bharatiya convention is contributing to Atmanirbhar Bharat. The convention will have 3 segments. It will be inaugurated by PM, and there will be a keynote address by the chief guest, Mr. Chandrika Prasad Santoki, President of Suriname. It will be followed by 2 plenary sessions. The first plenary on the role of diaspora in Atmanirbhar Bharat, which will feature addresses by EM and the Commerce and Industry Minister, while the second plenary is on facing post-COVID challenges, scenario in health, economy, social and international relations, which will be addressed by Minister of Health and Minister of State for External Affairs. Both plenaries will also feature panel discussions where we have invited eminent diaspora experts. Rashtrapati ji will deliver his valedictory address at the final session to mark this occasion, and the names of Pravasi Bharatiya Samman awardees for 2021 will also be announced. As you know, these awards are conferred on those who select diaspora members to recognize their achievements and honor their contributions in various fields. In the run-up to this PBD convention tomorrow, we had a series of events, and the last of these series of events, which is the 5th event, was held today afternoon, which is the Youth PBD. This Youth PBD was celebrated virtually on the theme bringing together young achievers from India and Indian diaspora. The guest for this event was Ms. Priyanka Radhakrishnan, Minister for Community and Voluntary Sector of New Zealand. So I invite all of you to join the 16th PBD convention virtually tomorrow, and this webcast would be available on the PBD website as well as on the virtual platforms of the ministry, which is on our YouTube channel. So you would also like to see our press release on this for further details. I have a short update on the Vande Bharat mission. The phase 9 of this mission has been made operational since the 1st of January, and this phase would involve operating 1,495 international flights from 24 countries to facilitate the return of an estimated 2.8 lakh people. As of 6th January, 261 of these flights have already been operated, and these flights have facilitated the return of 49,000 people from 19 countries. This brings the total number of people who have been facilitated through different modes of this mission, which is the world's largest repatriation exercise. So since it started in May 2020, the number of people who've come back under this mission are more than 44.7 lakhs. So these are the announcements that I had. Moving on, over to you, Yatin, who will address your questions.
So first set of question is on stranded sailors. Siddhan from Vion has asked, any update on the stranded Indian sailors off the coast of China? Shailendra from News 18 has a question. चीन के बंदरगाह के करीब 2 जहाजों में फंसे भारतीयों को लेकर कोई राहत की खबर है? क्या क्रू की अदला बदली की परमिशन मिल गई है? Neeraj from News 18 has asked, what is the status of 39 Indians stuck in China? Any release date given by the Chinese authorities?
We had earlier provided a detailed brief on the situation on the 1st of January, and we had informed that our embassy in Beijing is continuously following this up with Chinese authorities. Now, by way of further update, what I have is that our ambassador has again personally taken up this issue with the Chinese Vice Foreign Minister, and he has requested for early approval for crew change for the crew members aboard MV Jaganand and MV Anastasia. The ministry is also in regular contact with the Chinese embassy here in Delhi. And in view of China's strict COVID-19 pandemic control and preventive measures, as well as various travel restrictions which are in place, the Chinese authorities have detailed steps which they have outlined to ensure the smooth movement of new crew to China to effect this crew change. And these steps have to be complied by the concerned shipping companies. With regard to the request for exploring alternative modes of crew change at sea, this possibility has also been taken up with the Chinese authorities, and they have indicated that the details for these options are being worked out. We are awaiting these details from the Chinese authorities as of now, and we will continue to remain in touch with them as well as with shipping companies to ensure that the humanitarian needs of the crew are taken care of and crew changes are effected at the earliest.
Next set of question is on vaccine cooperation. Gautam Lahiri has asked, as India is rolling out COVID vaccine, when the neighboring countries including Bangladesh will receive it, whether India and Bangladesh will sign G2G agreement for exporting vaccine. Vasudevan from SCMP has a question. Have we signed an agreement so far with any neighboring country to supply vaccines? Madhurendra from News Nation has asked, भारत ने कोविड महामारी के दौरान पड़ोसी देशों के साथ साथ अन्य देशों को भी जरूरी मेडिकल सहायता प्रदान की थी। अब वैक्सीन की बारी है, तो भारत से किन देशों ने वैक्सीन के लिए रिक्वेस्ट किया है और अन्य देशों को वैक्सीन देने को लेकर भारत की क्या योजना है? Similar questions were asked by Siddhant from Vion, Sandeep from Tribune and Manish from TV9.
Look, there is understandably interest in many countries to access vaccines from India, which has emerged as the global hub for vaccine manufacturing. And you would know that since the beginning, India has been at the forefront of global efforts in responding to this common fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. And India sees international cooperation in this field, particularly with its neighbors, as its duty. Now, you would be aware that in our neighborhood, we have already provided medicines and other essential supplies. We have also provided training assistance for experts from these countries on vaccine-related issues. As we roll out vaccines, Prime Minister's announcement that India's vaccine production and delivery capacity will be used for the benefit of all humanity in fighting this crisis needs to be noted.
Shailendra from News 18 has asked, कनाडा के नेता रमनदीप ब्रार हाल में सिंघू बॉर्डर पर किसानों के साथ समर्थन करते नजर आए। नॉर्म्स के तहत ओसीआई कार्ड होल्डर ऐसे प्रदर्शनों में शामिल नहीं हो सकते। क्या इस मामले में सरकार कार्रवाई करेगी? Neeraj from News 18 has asked, Ramandeep Brar, a Canadian political leader, had visited farmers' protest site and gave support. Is it violation of visa norms? Similar question from Siddhant and Shrinjoy from Times Now.
As of now, what I'll say is we have noted these reports and we are ascertaining these facts.
Madhurendra from News Nation has asked, नेपाल में जारी राजनीतिक उठापटक और डेवलपमेंट पर भारत का क्या आकलन है?
नीरज जी, जैसे कि मैंने पहले कहा था, ये नेपाल का अपना आंतरिक मामला है और एक पड़ोसी और शुभचिंतक के रूप में भारत शांति, समृद्धि और विकास के रास्ते पर आगे बढ़ने में नेपाल और उसके लोगों का सहयोग करता रहेगा.
Suresh from Kantipur Express has asked, as being said, Nepal's Minister of Foreign Affairs is scheduled to visit Delhi for ministerial level joint committee meeting very soon. What will be the main focus of the meeting and will there be concrete discussions on border issue? He also has another question that there are media reports that during the visit of Nepali Foreign Minister to India, India is going to pledge vaccine to Nepal. Will that be given as a humanitarian support or as G2G deal?
Sureshji, I had mentioned earlier during the visit of Foreign Secretary to Nepal in end November, he had extended an invitation from EM to the Nepalese Foreign Minister to visit India for the Joint Commission meeting, and dates for the visit are still being finalized. So, we'll provide you further details as and when these dates are finalized.
Sandeep from Tribune has a question. During EM's Colombo visit, what were the specific proposals India is keen to implement in infrastructure area?
Sandeep, EM was on an official visit from 5th to 7th of January at the invitation of Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena of Sri Lanka. And you would have seen our press release on this, as well as you would have seen the opening remarks made by PM at the presser in Colombo. Now, during the visit, EM had discussions with his counterpart. He also called on the Sri Lankan leadership, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. And these discussions with his interlocutors, they covered the entire gamut of bilateral relations. The progress in the partnership was also reviewed in detail during the visit. Regarding the economic aspects of the partnership to which your question pertains, there are proposals in the areas of infrastructure, energy and connectivity which were discussed, and these proposals were discussed in the specific context of creating environment to accelerate Sri Lanka's post-COVID economic recovery, as well as to have a positive medium-term impact on its development. I do not have the details of specific proposals, but what I can tell you is that essentially the discussions focused on the opportunities that could be created by taking these proposals forward, and particularly in the context of what the Indian businesses can do in terms of investments in Sri Lanka. So investment opportunities were also discussed. There were also discussions on special zones for pharmaceutical manufacturing and on the revival of tourism. And we expect to send a pharma industry delegation at an early date to Sri Lanka. Regarding tourism, EM discussed the importance of establishing air travel bubble arrangements from India, and the Sri Lankan side will revert to us with their specific proposals on this.
Ranjit Kumar from Rakshak News has a question. India and France have concluded annual strategic dialogue. What is the outcome of this dialogue?
Ranjit ji, you know that the French delegation led by Mr. Emmanuel Bon, the diplomatic advisor to the French president, is currently in town, and they had the annual strategic dialogue with NSA yesterday. And today, the diplomatic advisor called on the PM in the morning. He's had other meetings also. The visit is presently ongoing, and we'll share further details subsequently.
Next set of question is on LAC. Madhurendra from News Nation has asked, चीन के साथ LAC पर तनाव का कोई समाधान दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है, क्या बैक चैनल में भी कोई बातचीत चल रही है? Siddharth from Vion has asked, what is the update on standoff at LAC?
The update that I have is that the latest round of WMCC was held on the 18th of December, and the two sides have agreed to hold the next round of senior commanders meeting, and they are in constant communication through diplomatic and military channels in this regard. In the meantime, both sides have maintained communication at the ground level to avoid any misunderstandings and misjudgments, even as discussions continue for achieving complete disengagement in all friction areas in accordance with the existing bilateral agreements to restore peace and tranquility.
Madhurendra from News Nation has asked, यूएस में कैपिटल हिल की घटना को भारत ने संज्ञान लिया है, पीएम ने ट्वीट भी किया है, विदेश मंत्रालय इस घटना को कैसे संज्ञान में ले रहा है? शैलेंद्र फ्रॉम न्यूज़ 18 हैज आस्क्ड, ट्रंप समर्थकों की भीड़ में एक व्यक्ति ने भारतीय तिरंगा भी लहराया, इस पर आपकी क्या प्रतिक्रिया है?
इंडियन पोजीशन जो इस पे है वो प्रधानमंत्री जी के ट्वीट में साफ जाहिर हो गई है, और ये कहा गया है कि वाशिंगटन डीसी में उपद्रव और हिंसा के समाचारों से वो व्यथित हुए हैं। सत्ता का हस्तांतरण व्यवस्थित और शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से होना जरूरी है। इस तरह के गैर कानूनी प्रदर्शनों के जरिए लोकतांत्रिक प्रक्रिया को नुकसान नहीं पहुंचाया जा सकता।
Sandeep from the Tribune has a question. How does the MEA react to observations by US ambassador and US congressional report on the possibility of sanctions if India purchase the S-400 missile defense system from Russia?
Sandeep, you know, India and US have a comprehensive global strategic partnership. India has a special and privileged strategic partnership with Russia. We pursue an independent foreign policy. This also applies to our defense acquisition and supplies, which are guided by our national security interest. This is what I would like to say.
Nilowa Roy Chaudhary has a question. India, after joining the UNSC, has become the chair of the Taliban Sanctions Committee. Since violence perpetrated by the Taliban is holding up the Afghan peace process, does this new responsibility mean that India will be more directly involved and have a voice in the Afghan peace process too?
Look, we began our 2-year tenure as the non-permanent member of the UN Security Council from the 1st of January. And you would know, Nilova, that our tenure will be marked with a commitment to promote responsible and inclusive solutions to international peace and security, a new orientation for a reformed multilateral system, and a worldview anchored in our ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is the world is one family. Now, with regard to Afghanistan, you would know that India and Afghanistan, as contiguous neighbors, we share a natural historical relationship. Our strategic partnership and long-term commitment to the development of Afghanistan reflects this time-tested partnership. We have invested heavily in the peace and development in Afghanistan, and we support all efforts to bring peace and stability in that country. Our position on the peace process has also been well articulated. The peace process must be Afghan-led, Afghan-owned, and Afghan-controlled. India, as an important stakeholder, we look forward to working towards a peaceful, prosperous, sovereign, democratic, and united Afghanistan. So this is our approach and position on this issue, and this will guide us at the UN Security Council.
Next set of question is on terrorists in Pakistan. Shrinjoy from Times Now has asked, Zakir Rahman Lakhvi has been sentenced to 15 years in jail. Your comments, please. Swasini from The Hindu has asked, after action against Hafiz Saeed and Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, a Pakistan court has issued a warrant against Masood Azhar. What is MEA's reaction to this? Shailendra from News 18 has asked, पाकिस्तान में मसूद अजहर की गिरफ्तारी का वारंट जारी हुआ है, इस पर MEA की क्या प्रतिक्रिया है?
Look, what I would say is the timing of these actions clearly suggests the intention of conveying a sense of compliance ahead of the APJG meeting and the next FATF plenary meeting in February 2021. It has become routine for Pakistan to come up with such farcical actions prior to important meetings. UN proscribed entities and designated terrorists act as proxies for Pakistani establishment to fulfill its anti-India agenda. It is for the international community to hold Pakistan to account and ensure that it takes credible action against terror groups, terror infrastructure, and individual terrorists.
Madhurendra from News Nation has a question. अल्पसंख्यकों के प्रति पाकिस्तान में अत्याचार का सिलसिला जारी है. हिंदू मंदिर तोड़े जा रहे हैं. जबरन धर्म परिवर्तन को लेकर क्रिश्चियन समुदाय सड़कों पर प्रदर्शन कर रहा है, तो वही बलूची और हजारा समुदाय के लोगों की निर्मम हत्या का मामला भी तूल पकड़ चुका है. भारत का क्या कहना है?
मधुरेंद्र जी, हम इस आतंकवादी हमले की कड़ी निंदा करते हैं. किसी भी देश की ये जिम्मेदारी है कि वे अपने अल्पसंख्यकों की रक्षा करे और उन्हें बुनियादी मानवाधिकारों को सम्मान करे.
नरेंद्रनाथ मिश्रा फ्रॉम नव भारत टाइम्स हैज आस्क्ड, अमेरिका ने H-1B वीज़ा को सस्पेंड करने का डेट बढ़ा दिया. इसके अलावा और भी बंदिश बढ़ाई. क्या भारत इस मामले में अमेरिकी प्रशासन से संपर्क में है? कितने भारतीय इससे प्रभावित हो सकते हैं? अमिति फ्रॉम हिंदू बिजनेस लाइन हैज आस्क्ड, विल इंडिया रिएक्ट to the Trump administration's decision to change the annual H-1 cap lottery process and replace it with a salary-based selection process?
We have taken note of the recent proclamations of the US government extending by 3 more months the current suspension of entry of certain immigrants and non-immigrants to the USA. We are engaged with the US government for increased predictability in the visa regime and to minimize convenience to Indian nationals in the US or those proposing to travel to the US for bona fide reasons, including the movement of Indian professionals. You would know that people-to-people relations are a vital part of the partnership between India and the US. There is recognition in the US of the fact that Indian skilled professionals have contributed to the growth of the US economy and helped the US economy retain its competitive edge and innovation advantage.
Geeta Mohan from India Today has a question. A viral claim on social media says that the center has removed the column nationality from passports. We request the Ministry of External Affairs to provide a clarification on this matter.
Geeta, this is absolutely incorrect. In all categories of travel documents issued by the government, the nationality column has been kept, it has been maintained. There has been no change.
Shrinjoy from Times Now has a question. There are reports of the MEA banning Tablighi Jamaat activities in India. Strictly speaking, can the MEA ban the Jamaat beyond not issuing visa?
Shrinjoy, I have not seen any such reports and I do not know the basis for such reports. Since it pertains to visa policy, I would suggest you may also like to check with MHA. Are there any further questions, Yatin?
No questions, sir.
Thank you. So this concludes the weekly briefing. See you again next week. Thank you.
India. Welcome, sir. Shri V. Muralidharan, Minister of State, External Affairs, Government of India. Welcome, sir. It's an absolute honor and matter of great pride for us to welcome our esteemed panelists to joining us from different corners of the world in this celebration. A hearty welcome to you all. Since the Yuva Pravasi Bharati Divas 2021 is an effort to bring together the young achievers and youth change makers from India and Indian diaspora across the world. The celebration would be incomplete without their presence. So I'm extremely delighted to welcome our vibrant youth from all across the globe joining us today. As we all know, that the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is celebrated on 9th of January every year by the Ministry of External Affairs. The Yuva Pravasi Bharatiya Divas on the same line is celebrated every alternate year. And it is a unique experience for all of us, as due to COVID-19, we are celebrating it virtually this year. As Swami Vivekananda says, Uttishtat, Jagrat, Prapya Varani Bodhat. That means, arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is achieved. So, no pandemic is going to stop us. And here we are. Before we begin the program, I would like to give you a quick brief about the format of the event. There will be two sessions. The first session will be a ministerial segment in which honorable ministers will be guiding us with their remarks. And the second session is going to be a technical segment on the topic bringing together young achievers from India and Indian diaspora, in which the panelists will be sharing their thoughts, views, and experiences on the topic with us. So, without any further delay, may I please request Shri Sanjay Bhattacharya, Secretary, OIA and CPV Division, Ministry of External Affairs, for his address. Sir.
Thank you. Honorable Ms. Priyanka Radhakrishnan, Minister from New Zealand, special guest of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas Convention, and a most distinguished Pravasi. Honorable Shri Kiren Rijiju, Minister of State.
So ladies and gentlemen, that's been the link that we've had with the Ministry of External Affairs, and the link's been now confirmed. So the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas celebrations, the first all virtual Pravasi Bharatiya Divas convention will be held today, and it will be live streamed. Indian diaspora and friends in India are requested to watch the convention, as it will be done through our pre-PBD conference, which we have been looking at. So the 16th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas contributing to Atmanirbhar Bharat. The final draft I've just received. I've just got it on my hand now. The final draft, the session programming is as such. So the inaugural session will begin 2:30 our times with the remarks by Subramanian Jaishankar, who is the External Affairs Minister. Then the keynote address by His Excellency Mr. Chandra Prasad Santokhi, President of Suriname, who is a guest, chief guest this year. The message will be a pre-recorded one. And at 3 p.m. our time, which will be 10:30 Indian time, Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji will address, and at about 10:55 Indian time, the announcements of Bharat Ko Jano quiz, and 11 o'clock their time will be the conclusion of the inaugural session, which will lead us into the plenary session. So plenary session is plenary session 1 is role of diaspora in Atmanirbhar Bharat, and there's lots of chosen speakers. And plenary session 2 is facing post-COVID challenges scenario in health, economy, social and international relations, which will then lead into the technical segment, and then the valedictory session, arrival of Sri Ramnath Kovind, the Honorable President of India, national anthem, and there'll be the address announcing of the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Awards. Now, these are the highest civilian awards, given to the Indian diaspora. So the Pravasi Samman, acceptance speech by one of the Samman awardees, then the valedictory address by Sri Ramnath Kovind, and national anthem, and then what's happening now is the pre-PBD conference on youth, as we were watching just before this. So we will end this session now here, now that the links has been established and the streaming is okay. So, the signal and everything is good and tested. So now we've received the final draft, which has just been sent to us by Ministry of External Affairs, the full run sheet which we have on our hand now. So we will reconvene at about 2:30 and when we will launch into the actual PBD. Until that time, it's thank you very much for watching and looking forward for all of your participation at 2:30 p.m. for the actual PBD to begin.